Stitch number 22 on the Pfaff Passport 3.0 is actually a hand look quilt stitch. Well, what does that mean? That means that by adjusting your thread you put in the machine, your top tension, and stitching through some batting with just the right type of thread in your bobbin, you can create stitches that look like you've stitched it by hand. Now the back is going to prove you wrong because this is going to look like a straight stitch. But let me show you and break down what it means and how do you set up this machine for this particular stitch. So if you just have regular thread in your needle and bobbin that match and you pick stitch number 22, it is not going to look like what you're expecting because this is a manipulated stitch. Being a manipulated stitch, there's also very different variables that can make this work or not work. I've had sometimes where polyester batting isn't my best choice, but cotton is. Different kinds of clear thread. So you need to put clear thread in your needle, and usually I like a thread stand if I'm having any trouble because clear thread will sometimes want to wrap around itself up here. So thread stands become a nice accessory that you can pick up at your local Pfaff store to help you out. It sits beside the machine and goes up and then over, so it kind of lets the thread relax a little bit. The next thing is that the tension is super tight on top. So I'm actually right now about 8. When I was stitching right here where it doesn't look as perfect, I was down around 7. So again, you'll probably need to adjust this based on all these variables. The next thing is whatever color of thread you want it to look like you've stitched by hand, that's the color that goes in your bobbin. So your bobbin thread is what actually is getting dragged up here by this really tight tension. And as you watch that stitch, it's quite interesting. It drags it back and then locks it and then goes forward. Well, then there's another stitch that goes forward, and that's where you see like this little, it looks like the break of where your needle by hand would have been underneath the fabric. Well, that's actually just filled in by the clear thread. That's the beauty of this stitch. So as you sew, it definitely has kind of this back forth locking sequence that's not normal. So that also means that if I'm trying to turn a corner, I need to make sure that I'm within the right sequence at the right place to really get the best looking corner as I go. The other thing is usually when you start, you don't get the stitches right away. It takes maybe a stitch or two to really get this to pull up into position as you stitch. So all these things can make a difference. So if you don't get it perfect the first time, don't give up. Maybe trade the brand out of clear thread, make sure your needle's sharp, make sure the batting and fabric are of good quality, and then just have some fun.